And you don't have to understand the culture. We don't have to understand you. You don't have to understand us. We just have to respect each other.
But lack of understanding does not mean hatred.
True.
That we are from this kind of ancient, Stone Age people.
Right.
Like, we are still living on the tree and all those kind of stuff. So that we understand that they don't get us. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Ayokunle, and today I'm here with my wife, with my beautiful wife. And her name is?
My name is Abiola Ayomoni. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so today, first of all, click the like button, subscribe if this is your first time, which is our experience with African Americans, with white Americans, and Americans generally. There is this stereotype. Okay, let's start from when you were in college.
Okay.
Right? Do you have more relationship with Black Americans, or was your relationship with Caucasian American, white Americans?
From my personality as a person, and also from the demographics at the college I went, it was pretty diverse. We had like an equal number of Hispanic people, we have Black Americans, and we had white people from different cultures. It was pretty diverse. I feel like I had better experiences with other Africans.
Okay, most of your friends in college, are they blacks? Black American, or are they Nigerian Americans?
So most of my friends in college were Nigerian.
So they're
Nigerian
Africans.
Americans. Yeah, they were. Yeah, a lot of them were
Africans. Right. So that means there is this understanding.
Right.
You got along easily with them.
Right.
So what about your relationship with non-Africans?
Like when it came to white Americans or Black Americans, the relationship was, for me, just respectful and cordial. I didn't try to get too in-depth. That came from some experiences that I personally had before with both races and some preconceived notions, and I felt like I just wanted to do what I had to do and leave. I just feel like we don't have to be best friends, we just have to get along, and we just have to be respectful. So that was my perspective.
So that's your relationship with Americans?
Yes.
With both Black Americans and other Americans?
Right.
So, but there's this preconceived notion among Black Americans especially, right? Especially that Africans look down on them. Because you just said now that you just want to get on your business, go to school, study, and then go back home. Like, you don't want to have any kind of relationship with... that's personal. That's typical of we Africans. We just go get about our businesses and go back home. But I think the Black American community sees this as, they're looking down on us. What do you think about that? For
me, I would like to backtrack a little and do a little background story as to why that was my mindset in college. So before I started college, briefly, I had a little bit of work experience, and that was in the US also. And I had a not so good experience with some of my Black American colleagues. They, to this day, I would never forget that experience. Whenever I remember that experience, it just triggers me a little. And this was from someone that was actually much older than me, and from an African perspective, we were raised to respect anyone that is actually older than you.
It's cultural.
It's cultural. You see anyone that's older than you, especially she could give birth to me. If this person can give birth to you, you should actually respect them the way you would respect your mom. This was a female coworker that was way older, and she said something to me, and that just stuck with me. I was like, I could not believe I would ever be spoken to in such a way by someone that's older, because we were raised to believe that older people are much more wiser and we look up to them. And she said something to me, and ever since then I was just like, no, because I was just being genuine. I was just asking questions because I was actually pretty lost and I was confused, and I just needed directions. And the way she spoke to me, it was very derogatory. And ever since then, I just felt like hate.
So you kind of withdraw.
Exactly. Yeah, because back then, like, I went into, like, I came here with very, very, like, I was open, right? I was very open-minded. I was expecting to have, like, this positive experience and, like, be friends with everyone. Because, I mean, I'm a very open person. I'm pretty friendly. So for me, I was very wide-eyed. Back then I even had some other Africans who were like, are you sure what you're doing? Like, you're so, I was like, yeah, there's no problem. And then I had that one experience that just changed the trajectory of how I related
to Americans generally, right?
Right. And then ever since then, I just felt like it's just best, it's no disrespect, it's no hate, it's no, it's nothing, it's no bad blood or anything. It's just, I just feel like
you're more comfortable in your own zone.
Right. I feel like, to protect myself and to also respect other people's cultures is just best, that whenever we have like any interactions that, with someone from another race, I'm a very respectful person.
Okay, let's talk about, in my own opinion, why Africans tend to relate better with fellow Africans than Black Americans, and Black Americans view it as we look down upon them. We are not looking down on them. We understand the cultural diversity, the cultural differences among the two Black communities, because the media has done a bad job in kind of perpetuating, showing Africans to Black Americans in a certain way.
True.
That we are from this kind of ancient, Stone Age people,
right.
Like we are still living on the tree and all those kind of stuff. So we understand that they don't get us. They have this kind of mentality towards Africans that are not true, far away from the truth. And of course, Africans as well has been shown by the media the Black American community in certain way. So we also view Black Americans in certain way because of what we've seen in movies back in Africa. So those two Black communities now are kind of, we've been placed against each other in terms of what's in our mind. You understand? So I think that's the main problem there. So we don't have understanding, and in order to avoid offending the Black American community, Africans are more comfortable in their own zone.
True.
Africans are not looking down Americans. We just look at Americans as people that don't really understand us. They think they know us, but they don't really.
True.
So that's the reason why. That's one of the reasons. I'm not going to say that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why Africans kind of, they keep to themselves. They kind of withdraw, in a kind of defensive manner. So that's the reason. So you've worked with Black Americans in your places of work. So what's your experience like?
So I've had two very different, I could speak on like two very distinct work experiences. Like I've worked in places where it was predominantly white Americans, and I've worked in places where it was predominantly Black Americans, and I could see the difference in the structure, in the workplace environment. I could see so many differences, and I feel like I'll speak on workplaces that were predominantly Black Americans. For me, it was my game plan was just to do my job and go home. I mean, that's always the game plan at the end of the day. But in scenarios like that, I feel like I would find some people, some Black Americans that were interested in the culture, and I would, I'm a very open and friendly person, and then this has actually happened time after time, and then I try to be a little open, and then one of the things that I feel like is very different culture wise when it comes to like Africans and like Black Americans is sometimes when it comes to I feel like it's really hard to like gauge who this person really is to you. Like, do they really, really like you? Or are they just talking to you just to get to know you, to use the information against you? Or are they just trying to use you for something else? So for me, if I'm dealing with like the average African, I can tell. Like if
because we understand each other, we know who is genuine from who is not. We share same, even like Nigerians, Ghanaians, Togolese, like no matter the country, we kind of get it.
Right.
We kind of have this DNA, you know. That you don't really need to. We know when they are genuine or not, generally. So, but to Black Americans and vice versa, like it's difficult for them to figure us out. They have this ideology about Africans already, you know, in place by default. So you meeting them, you need to scrap that.
True.
You know, you need to scrap that with, you know, building relationship, building reputation. So, I mean, that's a lot. So it's better to kind of...
Right. I feel like I have met some African Americans that are actually pretty open-minded, you know, and I would like to say that was actually rare. I've only met like one or two that don't see us from the onset like, you're from Africa. You're from the ghetto. You know, you're from Africa. Like, I've been asked the most, I don't want to use the word ridiculous, but I will use the word very interesting questions. I've been asked, so like, do you guys live in like huts back home? Like, do you have like little tribes? And I'm like, sir, the first time I was asked that question, I was so confused. Like, child, I was like, wait, what? I live in an estate. Like, there were literally like 2 gates before you get to where I live. I'm like, I live in suburbia. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, you know. And I feel like this comes from, just like you said, right, from the preconceived notions of like the media, right? I feel like a lot of the issues within like the Black community, be from like the African community or from like the African American community, stems from the media, stems from what the media has told, stems from the stories that the media has said to the world that this is who we are. And in all honesty, when you really go down to like the roots, the real roots of like both cultures, I feel like we may not really be all that different. It's just the stories said by the media that's causing this, you know, this division. At the end of the day, you know, we as like the new generations, you know, I feel like we are starting to retell the stories from like our own perspective. And that's one of the benefits of like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You know, it helps us as like people, it empowers us to like share our own stories and empowers us to like create different rhetorics that have been spread by the media. Like, at the end of the day, I feel like Black Americans and Africans, we may not be all that different when it comes to like the roots. However, we do have very distinct cultural differences. Like, I definitely respect the Black American culture, and I do not understand everything about the culture. You know, I feel like I don't get it, but I respect it. You know, it's not something that I don't wake up in the morning thinking about it. You know, we have our own life. I have my own life. You know, we have like our own culture. We have our own friends and families and relatives, and some people have people back home. We have family back home in Nigeria, so we're still very deeply rooted in the Nigerian culture. What
people understand as being rude or being disrespectful in the African culture does not translate in the Black American community. For example, when an African parent or an African elder walk in, and you can't just stretch your hands and say, hey, hello, like that. Like, they find it offensive.
Right.
So some African people may read that as offensive and they may not like you anymore. Though you are American, so automatically they just don't like you. So, but an American, they don't care about that. You know, they are all the same, they are all equal. They don't have such culture. A 45-year-old African man would definitely take offense.
Right.
So that's where it's coming from. That's one of the reasons why Africans don't really, they kind of, you know what, I don't want to deal with all this. Let me just stay with my own people. So guys, what do you think of this?
They have a friction against us.
He's right.
Right, but...
He's so right.
So you're actually agreeing with this?
Damn right. Because
you're African.
And I'm West African, Nigerian, but it's the truth. Because if you remember the movie Sugar Hill.
Yep.
And there's a scene where they're doing the thing with the drug dealer, and the guy said, we can't work with Akata. We can't work with Akata. That's a word that they were calling the American blacks, Akata, the Nigerians. Akata is a word that they use for American blacks. And Wesley Snipes was like, yo, what is this Akata shit you keep calling us? And the guy goes, we don't want to work with cotton pickers. And then Wesley beats the shit.
What do you think of that?
So, that script was not written by an African.
Yeah.
Because the average African does not think of cotton pickers.
Yeah. So, so the word Akata is a Yoruba word.
Right. Akata was derived from one of the early Africans that moved to America. This was used to describe the Black Americans. This was during the time the Black Panther movement was very active. So Black Panther actually means Akata. That's what it means. So it's just
not derogatory. It's
right.
Not,
it's just like calling white people white.
It's like calling white people Caucasian. Like
right. Exactly. Like you're white. So just like the way Akata was trying to describe the Black Panthers, so that was passed down by the generations of Africans that came to the United States. In the early days, they came to the United States and then they just coined the term Akata, which means Black Panther. That's literally, it's a Yoruba word.
Yeah,
it literally just means, so it is not derogatory. I could definitely tell you that. However, can that word be used in a derogatory way? Yes. The same way you can call someone an African in a derogatory way. Like, oh my gosh, she's African. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like, do you see that? Like,
but in most cases, it's just a descriptive word. It's what we use for Black Americans.
Right. Like the origin of the word is not derogatory at all.
Yeah.
But it's the same way you can call an African, like, oh my God, she's African. It's the same way. Like it's you can literally turn a word, like being African is not derogatory, but you can make it look like it is derogatory. Like, oh my God. Exactly. So it's not. So him saying, not him, but like the movie saying, like cotton pickers. Like America, like the average Nigerian does not know what a cotton picker is, because in Nigeria I only learned about it when I came here. So it's not like we're going about like, oh my God, I don't want to associate myself with cotton pickers. No, no, trust me, no. And trust me, I could ask my parents. I could tell you they don't know what a cotton picker is.
Yeah.
They don't, because when they came here, their primary goal was to survive and was to get a job, was to work, was to get a degree, was to try to provide for their family. They're not going about trying to like start a fight or trying to be like, oh my God, we don't want to do this with cotton. They do not. It's not that serious. It really isn't. Yeah. So I could definitely tell you, like, that script was not written by an African. They did not consult the average African to write that script. And this is just the media doing what the media always does.
So generally, African people do not hate Black Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the same. We're brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter.
At the end of the day.
The divisiveness is caused by the media, and we shouldn't fall for the trick. So, do you have any other comments, any other things to say?
I feel like in this day and age where every topic is really, really sensitive,
very, very sensitive,
such as this, like the takeaway from this should really just be that generally we are the Black community at the end of the day, right? So between African Americans and Africans that came from Africa to the US, I feel like at the end of the day we do have cultural differences.
That's the problem.
And that is okay. It's okay for someone else that looks like you to not speak the same way, to have like an accent. And it's okay for you not to understand. And it's also important for you to respect. You don't have to like the way someone speaks. You don't have to like someone's way of life. You don't have to like the culture. You don't even have to care. But it's just respect. And I'm saying that, from Africans, and I'm saying that also from African Americans, we have to respect one another. And you don't have to understand the culture. We don't have to understand you. You don't have to understand us. We just have to respect each other.
But lack of understanding does not mean hatred.
True.
It's not true.
Because I feel like it is unrealistic to say that we both have to learn each other's culture. Because I will tell you this, I don't wake up thinking about the cultures I should learn. I wake up every morning thinking about my life, my family, you know, my husband. No, my husband, you know, my family, you know. I don't, you know, I feel like the average person should go about their business, but be respectful to everyone. Because at the end of the day,
regardless of the race.
True, exactly, because we're all human beings.
Exactly.
You know,
There's
decency, right? Decency and respect. That's just that's all. You know, yeah.
This is our own experience.
No hate, please.
We're not throwing shades at anyone. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. Click the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you again in the next one.
Bye.